Hi, welcome to ThriveTalk, Northeast Ohio Thrive Magazine's video podcast. I'm Marie Elium, and I'm editor of Thrive Magazine. And my guest today is Kathy Yarian, and she is our getaway. It's actually the name of her column in our magazine is Your Getaway Guru. But she is an independent travel advisor for prestige travel leaders. She's based in Fairview Park, but she handles people from all over the place, not just Northeast Ohio, but, everywhere. And how long have you been a travel agent?
I've been a travel agent for 35 years, since 1990.
Okay, so she knows a little bit about travel. And what I want to talk to Kathy about today is something that I think a lot of us have questions about. And I know whenever I travel, and Kathy does, and I don't travel much, believe me, but a little bit I travel, she always recommends that I get travel insurance. And I think a lot of people are confused about what exactly that covers, how you get it, is that really necessary, that sort of thing. So if you could, without being too general, just dumping it out there on you, can you talk to me a little bit about what you tell clients about travel insurance?
Sure. Well, before COVID, travel insurance wasn't the easiest sell. But since COVID, people realized, gee, anything could come up. I could get sick. I could get COVID. Anything could happen. So you want to make sure your investment for a vacation is protected.
Mm-hmm.
Many times when you book travel, let's say you're booking airfare and a cruise, maybe a hotel, many times that comes with restrictions, especially if you have to cancel at the last minute. So unfortunately, travel insurance is kind of a necessary evil. It's just like having house insurance, car insurance. When you spend that much money, if you spend a little bit more to cover yourself, it really allows you to enjoy your vacation without having to worry about it. Nobody wants to cancel their vacation. When they call me to book, no one's thinking of canceling. However, health issues come up. An elderly parent, maybe a grandbaby is going to be born. Maybe a grandbaby comes early. Maybe they have other things that pop up, an expense that they have to cancel their trip for. Depending on the insurance policy, they can do that. So that's what we always recommend. It's for the just in case, just like I said, just like your car insurance.
Well, how do I buy it? Like, who provides that? Do you sell it, or do I go to my insurance agent and buy travel insurance, or does the cruise line sell it, or how do you do that?
Sure. There's lots of options, and I always check several options for clients because it all depends on the coverage that they need and what type of package they're booking. For example, let's say if I book a Viking river cruise to Europe. Viking offers travel insurance with their packages. It's an excellent coverage. It's cancel for any reason. However, if it's a rather pricey expense. So I can offer a separate policy that's offered through travel agents. So I shop between the two, and then I present it to my clients. I'll say, okay, this insurance for Viking will cover your Viking cruise with airfare. It's $650 per person. However, I can offer insurance for $300 that have in basically the same kind of coverage, except it may not include cancel for any reason. But it allows canceling for medical reasons. So there's different ways you can obtain insurance through the cruise line or the tour company, through a travel agent.
Okay.
And then another one that's not well known is many credit card companies will offer a travel insurance if you use their credit card to pay for your trip.
Mm-hmm.
This used to be very popular a couple years ago. It's hard to find this now, but I always recommend people to check with their credit card companies, especially if they have a platinum or that type of card, maybe an American Express. A lot of times that will cover cancellation for medical reasons, as well as medical coverage while you're traveling. So those are some of the different ways you can do it. You can purchase insurance.
Well, when people need it, I mean, it sounds like if you buy it through the resort or the cruise line, because it's more expensive, so that tells me it's better coverage. I mean, you can just say, I'm not going and cancel. Is that it? And you get all your money back? Is that generally how that works?
It depends on the cruise line and it depends on the tour company. Some of the cruise lines will offer it. Some of the cruise lines you have to cancel 2 or 3 days ahead of time. Well, when do the emergencies usually happen? Probably within 24 hours of the trip. So that's why myself as a travel agent, I weed out those options for the client. I'll offer, let's say, a princess insurance, and it'll be a certain amount, and here's the restrictions that come with it. Or I can offer this insurance, and here's the restrictions coming with it. I have my client read on that and tell me what's best for them. I don't know their situation. I don't know if there's a grandbaby on, that could be on its way. A birth of a child isn't a cancelable reason unless you have cancel for any reason insurance.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So that's not necessarily a medical reason. It's just a reason why you don't want to go, that you want to stay.
What are some other situations that some of your clients have been surprised? And I don't want to focus on the negative part of insurance because insurance is great. Okay. It protects you. But what are some things that people might be surprised to hear aren't necessarily covered? I mean, you brought up a birth of a baby. That's not a illness. I mean, it's not sickness, but it is covered on the platinum coverage, I guess, that cancel for whatever reason.
Right, exactly. Other reasons people will cancel, they have a job change. So that would be covered under cancel for any reason.
Okay.
That would be one option. Their furnace goes kaplooey and they need to purchase a new furnace. That's something that, could be a reason. Boy, I mean, there's so many reasons. I just had a client who was traveling with an infant, and it turned out that the baby's shots were going to be during the time that they were going to be on the trip. And she didn't feel comfortable with that. She wanted to have the shots, his immunizations done, at least a couple weeks before the trip. So that was one of those things that came up. Unfortunately, she didn't have insurance. And that ended up being a huge expense for her to change her trip. So it cost her several $1,000s more, actually, unfortunately. So that was one of those situations where they didn't feel they needed insurance.
Sure.
They never want, they're not going to cancel, but sometimes things come up, and that's what came up. So
right. Generally, is the insurance a percentage of the trip? Is that how that's figured out? Or
it depends. It depends. It depends on the tour company or the cruise line. Many times it'll depend on the length of stay of the trip. It may just be a special dollar amount. Some insurances will go by the total cost of the package as well as your age. So that's one of the things. Companies like Fun Jet Vacations that have all-inclusives to Mexico and the Caribbean, they have a set price. If you go 3 or 4 days, it's this price. 5 or 6 days, it's this price. And so it's just a set price. Along with cancellation is just part of the insurance. Along with that, there are other issues with it that it covers. It covers medical while you're traveling. A lot of people don't know, interesting side note, a lot of insurances, let's say if you're on Medicare, a lot of insurance policies do not cover you out of the United States. So that's been a surprise to a lot of people in their, mid to late 60s and older, our boomer age. So I always bring that up to check to make sure if someone's going to Mexico, I make sure that they have insurance. So that's when we really have to talk about the aspects of the medical coverage while traveling.
Okay.
Some of the other things that it covers is trip delay. So let's say if you're flying Cleveland to JFK, New York, and then you're flying to Paris. If you misconnect, there's a weather and you miss your flight, now you're overnight in New York. Well, the airlines don't accept responsibility of weather delays.
Mhm.
So sometimes the airlines may put you up in a hotel, maybe they won't. So if you have the insurance, that's where one of the insurance benefits pop into.
Okay. Is it burdensome to prove that you need this? I mean, is it hard to get the doctor's notes or the receipts from I mean, I would imagine the insurance companies require proof that you actually had to stay in a hotel or that there was a delay. I mean, have you found that that's difficult for people to pull together, or is it just a little time consuming?
It is time consuming. Before I cancel any trip with clients, if they're canceling for a medical reason and they don't have the cancel for any reason, I always say, have you talked to your doctor? Can your doctor fill out medical forms for you to prove the reason why you're not going on the trip?
Okay.
So you always want to check that with your medical professional, because they're the ones that have to fill it out, or rather their, assistant.
Yeah.
So, I always check to make sure that's the case. I don't touch the reservation until I know for sure that's going to happen.
Okay.
So, it's definitely, if you have a $10,000 trip and you're canceling it, they want to know what the reasoning is.
Right.
Sometimes it could be a pre-existing condition and you want to make sure your insurances cover that. So, that's kind of the things where I weed that out, or really travelers should make sure they read the fine print too.
Okay, so there are no surprises on that.
Right.
What percentage of your clients end up buying travel insurance?
Probably 95%.
Really? Is it? And it's
Seriously.
not a hard sell. I mean,
It's not a hard sell
like,
anymore.
you got to do this.
No. Prior to COVID, I would say it was more of 75%.
Interesting. Okay.
But now it is kind of a no-brainer. It's just, I automatically include it into the quote. I mentioned that I have travel insurance in the quote, and no one ever says, "Oh, I don't need insurance." Well, unfortunately, except this one couple that had the infant. Yeah.
So tell me other examples of, do you have examples of maybe in your experience using travel insurance, or clients, or I want to hear some of these weird stories.
Sure. Well, first of all, for any trip I do for myself, I always have insurance because I have an elderly father. I have kids. I'm, at the age where, things could happen at any time. I'm not a 25-year-old, running marathons. So, I always include travel insurance. Several times I've had to use my travel insurance. One example, I went to the Outer Banks of North Carolina. We had a vacation home with my siblings. We got chased out halfway through with a hurricane. I submitted a claim and we got a refund back on the days that we didn't use the beach house.
Okay.
So that was definitely worth a couple $100 is what that was. Mm-hmm. Another one just recently, a couple of years ago, there was a hurricane in Belize, and we were there with friends, and we got there and we pulled up our phone and we realized that there's a hurricane on its way. So we got evacuated later that day, and we were just shocked. So we had to go over to the mainland. We had to take a ferry over. Our airline ticket, we had an airline ticket to get back over to the mainland. So that was canceled. We got stuck in a hotel during the hurricane that was not paid for. So our insurance, I filed a claim on that, and our insurance refunded the hotel nights and most of our meals. So that was a very good thing to have. And that insurance only cost us about $130. So it was very well worth it.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. I think people just find insurance a little daunting. Like there's a bunch of red tape, or there's going to be a gotcha or something that is tricky. And I imagine that's the role of a travel agent, is to help sort through that and say, have you thought about this? Look at this, check with your doctor first. Don't assume anything with travel insurance. Don't assume you can just do whatever you want to do with it.
Right. It's exactly that. When I'm quoting insurance policies, I usually send a link to the policy so they understand exactly what's covered. So many times they're surprised. They'll call me, but they'll say, wow. So if like my husband passes away over there, the insurance will ship the body back. I'm like, Yes, they will. So that's kind of a different kind of thing. So I'm like, yeah, I didn't want to point that out, but yes, they do.
That's handy.
Yeah, loss of limb, that's one of them too. That's one of the things in an
Oh,
insurance policy. Loss of limb. I don't know whatever limb that could be.
well, shark bites off your
Shark
arm.
bite, that could be. I
There,
don't know.
there you go. There's your limb.
Yeah, there you go. So, just there's so many aspects to the insurance, and there's things you could add to a policy, which is so interesting. One has pet care. So let's say if your pet got sick, you could add that as an add-on to your insurance policy on some insurance policies, not all. But you could have like a medical, like if your cat or dog got sick and you had to cancel. So that's something you can add.
Not that you're traveling with this dog, but
No, if you had to cancel.
Is at home.
Right. So if your animal got sick and you didn't want to leave your animal, so you could add that. Jury duty, if there's an issue while you're overseas, now the Middle East is a little
like a coup or something. Yeah.
Right. So an inclement weather, just some people don't want to go if they look at the weather map and they're thinking, oh, it's going to rain all week in Jamaica while we're there. I don't want to go. Well, if they have to cancel for any reason in insurance, they can certainly do that and reschedule. So,
oh, I would never have thought of that. I would just think I'm sitting under an umbrella the whole time.
Yeah, that's definitely what. And I say, in the Caribbean, it pours rain and then it stops. And then you have to go get another beach towel because it's wet. And then the sun comes out. But a lot of people just,
Okay. All right. Is there something I should have asked you about travel insurance that I did not ask you?
Let's see. I guess just the different coverages that are out there. Once again, a basic policy covers cancellation due to medical reasons of you, a traveling companion. So let's say if I were to go with one of my friends,
okay,
and her husband got sick and she couldn't go, it allows me to cancel also. So that's a nice thing. It covers, most of the policies will cover immediate family members, sister, aunt, grandparent, grandchild, that kind of thing. So if something were to happen to them, it allows you to cancel. Trip interruption, trip delay. If you got overseas and now you had to come back early because a parent got sick, insurance kicks in for that. Changing your airline ticket.
Okay.
A lot of insurances will have what they call a concierge service. So actually I utilized this when I was in Belize. I wasn't able to access the internet and I called the insurance company that I had the policy with, and they were able to tell me what airlines had flights available. Well, they could tell me that there were no flights to be had, unfortunately, but at least they could tell me something and say, okay, well, the next flight out is Thursday, 3 days from now. And they, offered to make other calls for me. So that was kind of a nice thing too.
Okay. All right. That's good to know.
Oh, and luggage loss, baggage delay, baggage loss. As I tell people, never put anything in your bag in your checked bag that you can't live without for 24 hours. Okay. I travel assuming they're going to lose my bag. So in my carry-on or my personal item, I always have a change of clothes, all my medication, sunglasses, anything, toothbrush, things I can't live without for 24 hours. And so some people don't travel that way. And then they go to, let's say they go to, Lisbon or something. And then they get on a ship right away. And then that luggage doesn't catch up to them for 3 days. So at least trip delay, luggage delay, luggage loss, insurances a lot of times will cover that.
Wow. All right. So you made a very convincing argument for travel insurance. That's good. Thank you. And thanks for explaining it too, because I think a lot of people, you don't have to be on some fancy trip to Africa to get it. I mean, you can have a simple beach trip and, domestically and still need it for whatever.
Well, and that's what I ask people. I'll say, listen, can you afford to lose this money? Can you afford it? And if they're like, oh, yeah, it's worth the risk for me. I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. Yeah. But then I have them sign off on it. I make them sign something or respond to my email that they declined insurance because
feel lucky.
It's happened in the past.
You feel lucky.
where people say, I don't remember you ever offering insurance, and I could pull that up on my emails. So unfortunately, I understand, and it's a struggle. And then people always say, oh, I'm not going to cancel. And I say, everyone who is canceled always says that, so.
Right. You don't, like you said at the beginning, you don't plan a trip thinking you're going to cancel.
Exactly. Of course.
All right. Well, thank you, Kathy, for all this good information. And
Sure.
let me just, your contact information will be in our show notes. All right. But while I have you here, what is the best way to reach you by email?
Oh, sure. My email is the best. I am very responsive. I check my email every day. During the week, like 20 times a day. My email is Kathy, my name, Kathy, at prestige-travel.com.
Okay.
You can find me on Facebook. My phone number is 440-779-4060. I'm happy to help. I have sold just travel insurance when people have booked their own trip. I'm happy to do that. So if anybody needs anything, I'm here. This is what I do for a living.
You can read Kathy's column in our in each issue of Thrive magazine. The fall issue has a story on planning a family trip. So believe it or not, some people want to take everybody in their family on a trip.
It's very true.
I don't know. I never had that going on, but apparently there are families that do that. So
that's great.
I want to thank you for being on ThriveTalk, and I want to just let our listeners and viewers know that if they have any suggestions for future topics, you can email me, Marie at northeastohiothrive.com, and I'd be more than happy to consider a topic or a guest for it. For our video podcast. And thank you, Kathy, very much for the great information. And I guess if I ever go on a trip, I'll consider getting insurance. So,
okay, sounds great.
Hey, thanks a lot.
Okay, you're welcome.
Bye.
Bye-bye.